Hi, it's Peter Orker of Peter Orker Piano Tuition here with today's A to Z of piano composers and pianists. Well, we've reached the letter E, and unlike previous items in this series, today's is both a composer and a pianist, and is also from a non-classical world, although he has been much influenced by classical music, and he even wrote a piano concerto. Letter E, if you haven't already guessed, is Keith Emerson, a keyboard player with 1970s supergroup Emerson Lake and Palmer, or ELP as they became known. I was a teenager in the 1970s. I'd been learning the piano for a short while, and although I liked classical music, Emerson was a big inspiration for me and inspired me to do my best. You see, most of the rock stars around at that time were guitarists, like Eric Clapton and Jimmy Page and Jimi Hendrix. So it was great to have someone in that world who played the piano. And of course he also played other keyboard instruments as well, such as the organ and the synthesizer. In fact, he was an early pioneer of the Moog synthesizer. Keith Emerson was born in Yorkshire in 1944, but he lived most of his childhood on the south coast in a town called Worthing in Sussex. Initially he was classically trained, and classical music continued to inspire him. But quite early on he became more interested in jazz and in rock. He achieved his first success as the keyboard player in The Nice, where he established a really flamboyant performing style. And they became well known for adaptations of the classics and also other well-known tunes. For instance, here's a good example, which is based on America from West Side Story. After this, he formed ELP, Emerson Lake and Palmer, with Greg Lake on bass and Carl Palmer on drums. Musically, he was constantly inventive and brought many advanced techniques to his compositions, which took them way beyond the typical 3-minute pop song. For example, he frequently made use of ostinato patterns on which to build longer structures. Ostinato patterns in themselves aren't particularly complicated, they're merely fragments of melody or bass lines which are repeated. One of the most famous ostinato patterns is the Pachelbel canon. So it's not necessarily the pattern itself that is the sophisticated bit. It's how you develop what goes above that ostinato pattern. In a piece called Tarkus, Emerson uses a pattern which is based on the interval of a fourth, that is, notes which are 4 notes apart. So he takes this little fragment, which in fact is in 5/4 time, and he speeds that up and puts it lower down like this. Now that's quite hard to play, that's quite tricky with 2 hands, but extraordinarily he plays all of that with his left hand and then does amazing tricks really in his right hand melodies that go with it. Have a look at this clip. mentioned jazz earlier, and Emerson even had a solo hit single with a traditional boogie woogie piece, Honky Tonk Train Blues. Towards the end of his time with ELP, he proved himself a very erudite and technically superior pianist, certainly not your average rock and roll Joanna player. He wrote a piano concerto which was recorded by the London Philharmonic Orchestra with himself as soloist, and which rivals concertos by Rachmaninoff in technical difficulty. Unfortunately, there's a very sad ending to Emerson's story. Following an injury to his hand, which limited his ability to play, he became chronically depressed, and been living in America for many years, he kept a gun and sadly used this to take his own life in 2016. He was laid to rest in his hometown of Worthing, Sussex, where recently a blue plaque was installed on the house where he grew up, as a lasting memorial to one of the most remarkable musicians rock music has ever produced. Well, thank you for watching, and please give us a like and a share, and remember, you can book your very own online piano lessons with me. Just click book now on the Facebook page or go to peterorker.net. And also, why not subscribe to my YouTube channel? Just search Peter Orker Piano and you'll be able to see this and all my other videos on there. As they accumulate in Facebook, they'll also appear in YouTube as well. And I'll shortly be adding some exclusive YouTube content very soon. So, for now, goodbye. And my next video will be my Tuesday tip for better piano playing. So thank you for watching. Goodbye.